YouTube friends, welcome. Smash like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. We're counting down the 5 tastiest matchups of the 2022 World Cup as we celebrate our series on Qatar 2022. Vamos! Every game at the World Cup is huge, but some World Cup games mean more than others. Today, to begin our World Cup 2022 series, we will chat with James Bench, Michael Lahoud about the tournament's most exciting games in the group stages, from a Black Friday fest between the US and England to Redemption Town as Ghana and Uruguay face each other again. We'll talk about the ones to watch to kickstart the competition. Qué Golazo World Cup 2022 series begins right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, Qué Golazo pod on Twitter. Of course, Michael Lahoud is in the house. James Bench is in the house. Welcome everybody. We're so excited to announce our brand new Qué Golazo World Cup series, where every week we will provide you with preview content for Qatar 2022. Our team and special guests will go everywhere all the way until the tournament kicks off in November. From deep analysis on every group to simulating the whole tournament and picking out the winners, this is your one stop for World Cup coverage. We're very excited, so sit back. This is our first episode. James Bench is in the house. Michael Lahoud, relax and enjoy our Qué Golazo Qatar 2022 series. James Bench, you look ready for, you look beautiful, James Bench. Are you ready for this or what?
I am so ready for this. It is like in England right now, it is Qatar in November/December weather. It's pleasant. You know, the sun is shining a little bit. This is glorious. We're right in the midst of a really exciting football season, but already, how can you not start getting excited about the World Cup in a few months' time?
I love it, JB. I love it so much. Make sure to follow James Bench's content on Twitter, CBS Sports, of course, as we cover this tournament. Michael Lahoud, you are excited. I know you are, my friend. How are you?
I'm buzzing. You know, thanks for saying that. I'm buzzing because look at Ben's shirt. Benz, you got me buzzing, mate. Now,
I found this shirt in Washington. So
really?
Special in a thrift shop in Washington. I'm very proud.
As long as it wasn't Dollar General. No shot, no disrespect to them, but I bought a bad shirt.
I have a higher, look, Mike, I'm not coming on a show with you wearing dollar store clothing.
Nah, but I'm buzzing. Ben's is here. When Ben's is here, you know it's a big show. So I'm honored to be in your presence with the new shirt.
I love it. I love it. James Bench, Michael Lahoud, of course, we kick off our World Cup 2022 series. And as I mentioned, everybody, you're going to get a lot of content from Qué Golazo and CBS Sports leading up to the tournament, of course. And today is all about picking our games to watch in the group stages. Now, I know some of you may be disagreeing and want to comment, and that's what we're here for discussion. But here are the groups, just to remind everybody. Just like we mentioned all the way specifically after the draw was done, every group has excitement all over it. Every group has a possibility for pretty much almost every nation. A group of death, you say? I feel like all of them have a chance to really give us some fireworks. So we're going to begin with picking out our favorite matches, our group stage matches to watch. We'll take a little break. We'll continue with that conversation, and we'll do some honorable mentions because it would be very unfair to just pick only a handful of matches when clearly there are some other tasty ones that people want to talk about. Some final thoughts, and that will do. All right, let's begin. England against the USMNT. James Bench, I got to start with you. This is Friday, November 25th, Black Friday, by the way, the day after Thanksgiving. Every American is full, ready to knock out some people to buy a 70% off television. They're ready to go. And now they're going to be facing England on Black Friday. Unbelievable. By the way, the USMNT unbeaten in 2 previous World Cup meetings against England. I feel this is a brand new, let's press the reset button because England are ready. America is ready. Talk to me about this game. You would put it in one of the games to watch in the group stages, James Bench, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love goals, and this is going to have a lot of goals. I mean, I can already see how this is going to play out for the US public. You know, I mean, we've tried to import, like we so often do in the UK, we try to import so many brilliant American traditions. Black Friday is one of them, but I know you do it better in America. I know you do. So I know that the American public will be up at 6 a.m. sharp, getting down to Target and all those places, buying yourself your new 4K TV, 100 inches, ready to watch Christian Pulisic and the boys. And by the time it's all set up, by the time you've connected the cable box and you've connected X, Y, and Z, you'll switch it on, 10 minutes gone, England 2, USA 0, right on the path to a convincing, a hammering, a drubbing for the USMNT. This is revenge. This is revenge for the Boston Tea Party. This is revenge for 2010 and Rob Green. It's going to be brilliant. And this whole group is riven with narrative. We don't know yet whether we'll have Scotland or Wales as well. But it's just going to be so much fun. This is the perfect draw, I think, for English fans that want to rub it into their US employers.
Benj, you mentioned the Boston Tea Party. I'm going to do you one better. The War of 1812. The War of 1812. This is going to be a reenactment of both wars, which, by the way, guess who won? Remember who won? At least in the American history books. That's what we all tell ourselves.
Skip that bit.
No, but this is a mouth-watering matchup, and you couldn't have scripted it any better. And I know you said 4K TVs on Black Friday. I think after this match, they're going to come out with 5K because the U.S. men's national team are going to whoop the English national team. And I'm cashing receipts. This is the show where I always cash receipts while I'm doubling up my receipts. USMNT are going to get a result. I think maybe not whoop England, but they're going to get a result against mighty, mighty England and jolly old England. Because if you shut down a Harry Kane, that's where most of the goals come from England. And if you let other players make the game that aren't used to making the game, a la a Jordan Henderson, which I'm surprised that he will probably get the start over Jared Bowen, who can't stop scoring. If players like that, the old guard, keep playing for Gareth Southgate, if I see Marcus Rashford in the fold based on the abysmal season that he's had, then, hey, I'll say, can you see by the Don's Early Grace, and I'll let you figure out the rest of that song.
Well,
I think USMNT.
You know what? It's great that I'm here because I'm the perfect balance. I live in the US. I've been here for almost 20 years. My wife's American. Obviously, we have American employers. I know, but I grew up in England. I accidentally was born in England. A very, very, very important part of my heart is in England. So I can tell both American fans and England fans, you're both annoying. Both of you. All right. So you're both going to annoy yourself in this fixture. I will say this, and let's talk about it tactically. You mentioned Michael Lahoud, a few players there. So, James, I'm going to throw it to you specifically. If you're an English fan, what, from the USMNT perspective, are you focusing on the most, do you think? What area on the pitch is England looking at when they face Greg Berhalter's USMNT?
Yeah, we spoke about this a bit on In Soccer We Trust with Heath and Jimmy as well. I think one of the challenges the US is going to have is that England are going to be so strong defensively on that right-hand side, and they'll have players that can nullify Christian Pulisic. So almost I'm intrigued about what happens on the other flank. Now, whether it's sort of a Timothy Weah or a Brendan Aronson, I'm really on the play Aronson as the number 9, the facilitator, make Pulisic your shot taker. I'm really so whoever you played though on that right flank for America with Serginho Dest presumably in behind, can you get enough thrust, enough counterattacks along that flank with a Weah, with an Aronson that can really discomfort whether it's Shaw or Chilwell? I mean, there are going to be precious few weak links in this England team, but potentially if you're kind of looking away from the centre backs, you don't want to be lobbing crosses into Stones and into Maguire. What you want to do is get pace in behind on that left hand side where you probably will have a Maguire and a left back or a left wing back. There you've got a bit of a chance, but equally, I think the big thing for the Americans will just be try and stay in the game for as long as possible, because Southgate is going to be able to unleash just this cavalcade of attacking options. He is kind of happy with this draw, and he will be kind of thinking, can we get Kane among the goals? Foden, Saka, Sancho, whoever goes, Jared Bowen. There's going to be so many ways in which England can win this game. I think for US, it's about staying tight, trying to hit them on the counter and hoping that at 60 minutes you're either winning or you're still in the game, and that the nerves start preying on England because they're coming into this tournament with a lot more pressure than they have, than they did the last one 4 years ago.
And I think you said it best, Benj, the nerves. The nerves is what's going to undo England. If it's 0-0, the longer it goes 0-0, as we saw in 2010, they expected to show up and really have the U.S. men's national team balk and be intimidated by the badge. You see it time and time again in the FIFA World Cup. Every team that's there deserves to be there, unless you're France and you Thierry Henry handball. Sorry, Des. I told you I'd only bring it. Sorry. Let me stop right there before Des pressed the reset button.
Cut you off, son. You gotta keep moving.
No. But from a tactical standpoint, I look at the physicality between the two teams. England, set pieces, they have been so strong in tight games and games where teams have frustrated them. They look to set pieces. You saw it in the World Cup. You saw it again in the Euros. Look for Gareth Southgate to implement some trick plays and come up with some ingenuity to free up the Harry Maguires, to free up the John Stones. Harry Maguire, for what he hasn't done for Manchester United, as a United fan, I lament, he's doing for England, off set piece goals. John Stones has had an amazing season in Manchester City, and he comes alive off set pieces for the English national team. So I think that if there is one aspect of the game that could be the difference maker between these two teams, it's going to be set pieces. For the U.S. men's national team, what you lack in physicality and height, you have in fitness. This is a very fit USMNT. They went to Azteca in the altitude, and they ran a Mexican national team into the ground. They played against Mexico in the Nations League final, and they were the fitter team. They're a young team, and when you have young teams entering into a World Cup for the first time together as a group, yes, there can be nerves, but also they don't know what their ceiling is. This team hasn't played their best game yet. Their best game so far, I think, was the 2 games against Mexico, which they got good results. 2-0, or 3 games, 2-0, Nations League final, and obviously the one in Azteca. So I think they're a team that plays to the level of their competition. So if you're England, you're going to be in for a game. They're not just going to roll over and just 3 goals, later, the game's over.
The pressure on England, the eagerness on the USMNT as they return to the World Cup. It should be a Black Friday fest. I can't wait. All right. We're going to do a lot of predictions on this series, everybody. We're going to move on to the next game. So we're going to do a very quick prediction straight away. James Bench, you're sticking with 2-0 England, correct?
No.
What are you doing?
4-0.
Jeez.
Michael Lahoud, talk to me.
I'm doing 1-1. I'm doing 1-1.
Oh, you're doing a draw. Wow.
Yeah, doing 1-1, Bench, just for that. I got to respect the hustle. I already told you I respect the shirt. Now that you told me it wasn't from Dollar General. But I respect the hustle, respect the shirt, respect the confidence. But I believe in my USMNT, my other passport, USMNT. It's what keeps me in the country. So I got to go 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw. Well, you're not so much into them because you're just giving them a draw. All right. Okay. Well, listen. And this is, by the way, our reaction and our analysis and predictions will continue to change. I got to go with England. I'm sorry. It's going to be 3-1, and maybe the USMNT will get one in the latter stages. But let's move on, everybody. And let's keep it CONCACAF, okay? Against the golden generation that's now turning a little bit now dark brownish, bronzy. Canada against Belgium. Wow. That's a Group F matchup. That's on Wednesday, November 23rd, by the way, at Ahmed Bin Ali Stadium. This is Canada's first World Cup game in 36 years. As a Peruvian, I know too well how long it takes to wait for a World Cup. Martinez against Herdman, by the way. Incredible stuff. Roberto Martinez called Canada a secret threat for this World Cup. So I don't think he's wrong there. Canada won CONCACAF, of course, and Belgium won their group. They didn't lose a game, but we know this all too well. Before we go into Belgium, because I know we want to talk about could be their last chance with their golden generation. Michael Lahoud, Canada, this World Cup better get ready for the Canadians.
They are the hottest team in CONCACAF and really my favorite team to watch in this region. They've been a revelation, and there's a love story about this team, not just in Canada, but also here in the United States of America. That's right. I said it, USMNT fans. This team is playing with a ton of confidence, and I wish the World Cup came 2 weeks after CONCACAF qualifications started or ended, because this team would be carrying that momentum. Now there's a bit of a pause, and what I do fear for this team is that other teams around the world, especially at Belgium, and a tactically savvy coach like Roberto Martinez will have time to study and figure out plans to stop them. What I do like very much about this Canadian team, their flexibility. They have the ability to build around a star player, not Kyle Larin. He led CONCACAF in goals, but a one Jonathan David. He's proved it in the Champions League that he can score against some of the best defenders in Europe, and their tactical flexibility is going to make this a very mouth-watering matchup, more so than I think a lot of pundits around the world are giving this credit for.
Yeah, it's intriguing to try and work out how much will Roberto Martinez really know and how much can he take away, because I watched this Canada team for the first time when they beat the US. I think that was the one on home soil. And it's very hard because I didn't see anything remarkable in the way they played. You know, you mentioned Jonathan David, who is a phenomenal striker. He will be playing at a bigger team than Lille by the time the World Cup rolls around. I know that almost for a fact. Even if you never quite know anything in the transfer window, I can assure you that's a very likely possibility.
Yeah,
but they're not. It's what you said, Mike, and you're right to say it would be great for them if the World Cup just came straight away, because it's spirit, and you see that on the pitch. And I think one of the things that intrigues me is how much we balance that against what Luis was saying about Belgium. The sense, and I thought you got it at Euro 2020, that they knew that the clock was ticking, that they will know going into this tournament, this is our last big swing of the dice. Some of the great Belgian players we know of, they're not even going to be there. Vermaelen, I think it's pretty debatable whether Eden Hazard will actually be trusted. And although there's this really talented younger generation, the likes of Tielemans, Doku, they're not ready. And I think right now we're not at the stage where the best of Belgium are kind of ready to pass the mantle on. Kevin De Bruyne, as we've seen in the last few weeks as we talk now, he's still going to be one of the best players in the world. But, he won't be able to carry this team on his own. And, actually, when you start looking around, how much is there world-class talent beyond De Bruyne? Courtois as well, of course. But if Lukaku hasn't turned his form around, this team starts looking ordinary, adequate. Like, of course, that's by the standard of a team that would aspire to win. And I do wonder if first time up, if Canada can keep this momentum, can keep this unity, if that can start preying in Belgian minds. Having said that, they are absolute masters of the group stage. And I think, it's been a very long time since they lost a group stage game. So I lean towards them quite strongly, but that's how Canada do this. They need to play this game in between the mind rather than as much on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm expecting some goals in this one. By the way, Jonathan David did, make his due at the Jupiler Pro League with Genk, 30 goals in 60 appearances. So he knows what to do with Belgian opposition. Alphonso Davies, of course, one of the best fullbacks in the world. My goodness, it's going to be such a cracking game. All right, very knee-jerk early predictions on this game. Michael Lahoud, give me a quick scoreline.
I am going to go do the unthinkable. I'm CONCACAF'd up. And that's not just the caffeine flowing through my veins this morning. I'm going to go the shocker heard around the world. Canada 2, Belgium 1.
Wow. James Bench.
I'll stick with the scoreline, but maybe reverse it a little bit. I think Canada will give Belgium a real nightmare, some really horrible times, but I think Belgium will just about scrape a 2-1 win.
I think this is going to be a fun game with a little bit of unpredictability, and I'm going with a 2-2 draw. I think Belgium's going to think that they have it in the bag with 2-1, and out of nowhere, Canada will get that very precious equalizer, but it should be a fun game. And just like I said at the beginning, we're probably going to change our minds on our predictions. So, all right, let's move on here. Oh, man, I'm so excited for this one, by the way. Argentina against Mexico. The Latin American battle right here, Saturday, November 26th at Lusail Iconic Stadium. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Argentina eliminated Mexico in 2006 and 2010. That was a controversial Carlitos Tevez goal, of course. They have a good record against El Tri at the World Cup as well. This is the Tata Martino derby, essentially, basically. So it's going to be really intriguing to see how this one goes. Argentina, by the way, if you haven't been following, they didn't lose a single game in the qualifiers in Canmnt. Of course, they still have to play that game against Brazil, but undefeated in 31. Lionel Scaloni has done ridiculous things. They no longer have Messi dependencia. They no longer just rely on Messi. In fact, Lautaro Martinez is probably their biggest threat. This is going to be a fun game, man. A fun game. James Bench, Argentina against Mexico. I can't wait for this one.
Well, I mean, it's really weird because it feels like it, like you kind of say, it should be happening in the last 16. Because it always happens in the last 16.
Right.
And can we sub Nigeria in so that we can have our every 4 years our
And bring
Argentina
back
versus
JJ Okocha.
Nigeria group stage game that we are. I thought it was a contractual part of a World Cup that those two have to play. No, I think you're right, Lewis. And I mean, when I've been doing my power rankings, I've had Argentina in the top 4 every time. The difference between this team and the teams that have flattered to deceive, it's really in that defense for me. Emi Martinez has established himself both at the Premier League and with the Argentinian national team as a player that lives for the biggest moments. I've got no doubt that, if there's a penalty shootout in the knockout stages, but even if there's a big moment in the group stages, he'll deliver. Christian Romero as well, phenomenal centre back.
Yeah,
and that's the point. Is then if you've got solid foundations and if you've got a team where the attacking game plan is slightly more than just give to Messi and hope, that's a really good team. And like you say, they finally, much too late, they finally found strikers to surround Messi, like Lautaro, someone that relishes playing with Messi. It's not a Dybala, it's not Higuain, it's not Aguero. It fits, and it looks like a good team. As for Mexico, Mike will know better than me. From what I saw from CONCACAF, it was fine. It was I don't think they've got anything to excite me, and I think it's a great game because they've got great players, but Tata Martino has a lot of work to do in a short space of time.
I think this will be the type of group game that tells us more about what type of Argentina team do we have than it will tell us about Mexico. With Mexico, let's start with them. Seen a bunch of them in CONCACAF. I'm not too high on this Mexico team. They don't have their best players in the camp, forget even going to the World Cup potentially. Tata Martino came out with a word on Javier Chicharito Hernandez, who cannot stop scoring goals in Major League Soccer and looks rejuvenated. And he said, there might not be any space for him on this team. Culturally, it's a bunch of baloney. It's a bunch of churipan for me. And I don't get it. I don't get what's going on behind the scenes for Mexico, because when you qualify for the World Cup, if you look at the body of work, creativity in the final third, this is a Mexican national team that struggled to score goals at home. Azteca was no longer a fortress. The USMNT did not come in fearing getting a result at Azteca. They came in actually playing their strongest team to get a win. That tells you that there's a shift in CONCACAF, that the fear factor of playing the Mexican national team is slowly eroding. And when you go into the World Cup, you need to bring back your strongest players. Carlos Vela, he can still bang him in. Although he's not playing at the elite clubs in Europe anymore, he's still one heck of a player. If you can convince those two players to come back, maybe get Jonathan Dos Santos or both Dos Santos brothers, those are experienced players that can now flesh out this Mexican national team and give their attack some meat and some strength. Now for Argentina, yes, their back line, you talk about Christian Romero, who's having a very good season for good old Tottenham. I look at Nicolas Otamendi. He's had a quality season silently in Benfica because not a lot of the Portuguese league gets the attention it deserves. And we've seen him in Champions League against Ajax. I thought he was excellent in that tie across two legs, especially in Amsterdam. And I look in the midfield. That's where the strength of this team really lies. It's always lied. No Mascherano, as we saw in 2014. Enter Rodrigo de Paul and Giovanni Lo Celso. Lo Celso is having an amazing second half of the season. And Benji, I want to apologize to you. You said something in a previous show months ago. Yeah, I know. I don't do it often. So I see you straightening it up. You said Lo Celso could be the next Fabregas, and he's very well playing like a Cesc Fabregas for this Villarreal team. And I just hope
I would have said that about a Tottenham player. But
I know.
I know. You said it. My job. Literally, I was gobsmacked. I was gobsmacked, man. But what I've seen from him over the last 4 matches in the Champions League, this guy is becoming the star that everyone hoped he could be in Argentina. And I think if the play of him and Rodrigo de Paul, who was my man of the match in the Copa America finals, if they can continue their form in Lo Celso and Rodrigo de Paul can rediscover his form, that adds an extra dynamic layer to this Argentina attack.
Yeah, a few things. Number one, in terms of the Mexico thing, I can't even agree more to this. I've been talking about Chicharito and Carlos Vela to come back to this Mexican national team for more than just one reason. First of all, Chucky Lozano is not a finisher. He's a creator. Tecatito Corona is not a finisher. He's a creator. Raul Jimenez, I love him, but unfortunately, ever since that injury, he has really become a little bit of a different striker, a little bit more apprehensive, a little bit more conservative. I hate to say that about him because I love him. And also, he's a little limited when you don't have the productivity. What Mexico needs is a dirty, I don't care how I score kind of player. I'm just going to put my body in it, and that's Javier Hernandez. That's Chicharito. So it surprises me a lot. Obviously, there's a long time between now and November. We'll have to see. By the way, Mexico's has some good friendlies going up, leading up to the World Cup. Guatemala, Nigeria, Uruguay, Paraguay, Ecuador as well. Should be some very good fixtures as well that can help the Mexican national team. From Argentina's perspective, I just want to let everybody know in that 31-match unbeaten run, they really only played one European team. One, Germany, and that was a while ago in a friendly. I want to see what they do against European competition as well to see if they're the real deal. But I'm with James Bench. I have them in my top 4 as well, just scraping on 4th. But this is going to be a fun game. And I think a lot can happen between now and, of course, November. Quick predictions on this one, James Bench. Give me a scoreline.
2-0 to Argentina.
Love it. Michael?
I'm going to say, I know El Tri fans, you're going to just eat me alive for this. 3-0 Argentina. I think Mexico is in that big of trouble. I'm not convinced about this Mexican national team. I wasn't convinced about them in CONCACAF qualifying. Yes, they came in second, but I think it's really down to the fact that USMNT did just enough to get to Qatar, excuse my Sierra Leone accent. And I think Argentina, they're going to smell blood in the water, and they're really going to go for it to make a statement.
Yeah. By the way, the correct way to pronounce Qatar apparently is Qatar. Qatar. It's like a soft G with a Qatar. That's I did my homework a while ago to listen to Qatari natives to say Qatar. But you don't know. I don't expect everybody to say it every time. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with an Argentina win. Worth mentioning, by the way, Funes Mori as well, who plays for the Mexican national team, Argentina born as well. See how he will do in this competition. Mexican fans not super happy with him. They're never happy with anything, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going with an Argentina win 2-0. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, let's focus a little bit on Europe, some European battles, as well as a redemption game for a certain African nation as well against Luis Suarez. We'll talk about that. But World Cup 2022, Qué Golazo, our debut episode. James Bench, Michael Lahoud, LME. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Qué Golazo World Cup 2022. We're talking about our favorite matches to watch in the group stages. Don't forget, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, where every week we'll give you some content. Right then, James Bench, I like this one. Spain against Germany, Group E, Sunday, November 27. Flick against Lucho. Luis Enrique, of course. La Furia Roja has only won 2 World Cup matches since 2010. That's kind of a surprising thing, but obviously they look rejuvenated under Luis Enrique. And Germany, we know that they crashed out of the group stages in Russia, but we'll see what Hansi Flick does with this German side. Let's not, completely disregard them, as they probably will restart a new journey under the manager, of course. James Bench, how do you see this one? Sexy one.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the bigger picture sort of outlook, I think you're kind of right to note that Flick's team are at the start of a journey, and it looks great so far. But, congratulations, you ran 9 goals past Liechtenstein. I've not seen you do anything against a proper football team since you were defeated by England. I think the Nations League, and obviously this is the thing while we're talking about all these, we do have, especially in Europe and, in CONCACAF with the Nations League as well, we've got big, important games coming up that could yet give us a bit more insight. Germany have got to play Italy and England. I think the thing with Spain is I feel like I know a lot more about them. I know what their weaknesses are, but I know what their strengths are. And this team can dominate games, really control the ball. I think particularly when the knockout stages come around, they will be a team that everyone dreads coming up against. A real, a team that just sets the tone for the game and doesn't let the opposition back in at all once they've had the ball for 2 or 3 minutes. Germany, I mean, the talent's there. I think you could see this being a tournament where the likes of Musiala, Florian Wirtz really take to the stage. But equally, I think that means we kind of have to view it for them as a step along the road. Whereas I think Spain will be looking at this and going, we've got to aim for the semi-finals. We've got to aim for the deepest levels of this competition. I think they are really excellent across the board.
I think this is a German national team that is entering, like you said, a new era, but they do have a quality manager who knows how to get the best out of players in Hansi Flick. And I'm surprised to see him play Thomas Müller at right wing at different points. Will they stick with a back three as we've seen in the last couple seasons, or will they go to a back four? I think we'll see return of the back four, but I'd like to see Thomas Müller play centrally. The thing that this German team does not have is a center forward who can score consistent goals. Miroslav Klose, what made Germany so hard to play against, they had so many midfielders that could move around and have the freedom. And we think of German efficiency. He's one of the most efficient goal scorers, the best World Cup goal scorer of all time after the Brazil World Cup. He's not here. Timo Werner, he poses a different threat. He's more of a runner into the flank. And I bring that up because you talk about the weaknesses of a Spanish national team, the counter. For as great as Spain is in possession, they will be vulnerable to the counterattack. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, their teammates for one Chelsea, who got dumped out yesterday, as we saw against Real Madrid. But they are starting to find form. Timo Werner is starting to find his old friend called the back of the net, which he didn't last year. And he could be the X factor for this German national team if he can discover form towards the end of the season for Chelsea, and if he can bring that into the fall and then obviously into the winter for the World Cup. For the Spanish national team. Benji, you're shaking your head. I know. What are you going to say?
It's Timo Werner. I hate to be the one to, like, especially those of us that like our stats, that like our XG, Timo Werner's underlying numbers are fantastic, but he ranks very highly on what I will call the Alvaro Morata index of players that you would bet your life on missing a really presentable opportunity.
But that could be about Morata, by the way.
Yeah,
he's doing very well. For the
I was saying, hey, you watch your swear words. Don't diss on my man Morata.
All right. Before we move on, and as for the predictions, by the way, one thing that Lahoud mentioned, which is obviously, the counter will be a dangerous thing for Spain, but Germany is going to have to get the ball off Spain. They're averaging about 80 to 87% possession in every single game, and I'm looking at this squad. My God, players like Pau Torres, Pedri, Gavi, Ferran Torres, Koke, Soler, Dani Olmo. I mean, they have so much talent. It's going to be very intriguing to see how all of that comes together because they did fail in Russia. Quick score predictions. James Bench, Spain, Germany.
Look, not every big game can be Man City, Liverpool in the Premier League. This is going to be a 0-0.
Yeah. Man, I was trying to hype it up to bring it back down. Just pump the gas out of the machine. I'm going 1-1. I think these are two teams that, in their own ways, will have a chance or two. Spain will dominate death by 2 million passes. In 2010, it was 1 million. This is a Spanish team that will go for 2 million. But at the end of the day, it's what you do in both boxes, and I see 1-1.
Yeah, I'm going with what Ben said at the beginning of this. I haven't seen Germany do something great against a big team yet. So I think that's going to push me to say that it'll be a sneaky 1-0 to Spain. Then we'll see what happens there. All right. Here's the last one of our favorite matches to watch. Oh, my goodness. This is like Redemptionville, baby. Ghana against Uruguay, Friday, December 2nd, Al Janoub Stadium in Al Wakra. Kickoff 10 a.m. Eastern, of course. We all remember the reason is Redemptionville right here. 2010, the Luis Suarez handball, of course, and Asamoah Gyan penalty miss as well. Scenes all over. It was just ridiculous. Everyone hates Uruguay in Group G. Because Uruguay eliminated Portugal in 2018 and South Korea also in 2010. So this is like, we hate you, Uruguay, Group G. Michael, talk to me. Ghana. Ghana, by the way, so much talent, but like you just about got here, Ghana. What do you make of them?
I think what I like about this Ghanaian national team is that just when you doubt them, remember we doubted them going up against Egypt a few World Cup qualification cycles in the past. They got the business done. Whoever the witch doctor is that was in that Nigeria tie needs to get on the plane. He's going to be the most important member of the team because they're going to need him in this group. And now going up against this Uruguay team, there is going to be blood in the water. Ghanaians and Africans, we don't forget. And the way that 2010 World Cup match ended and the way Ghana got knocked out, I remember where I was for that match, and I couldn't believe when Suarez handballed it. Luis Suarez, love him, hate him, combination of both. The thing about him is the man delivers when his country needs him most.
He did what he had to do. He did what he had to do.
You know what? If Sierra Leone, I would have done the same thing. If anything, I would have actually made a one-handed catch in the net. Touchdown. But realistically, in all seriousness, Ghana, what I like about this team is nothing about the current group of players, actually. It's the potential to get players with dual national citizenship in the camp. Iñaki Williams, if they can get him locked in, and the Williams brothers, this is a whole different Ghanaian national team. So look for Ghana to be busy in that department, trying to convince other players from around the world to say, hey, if you want to play in the World Cup, this is your chance. For Uruguay,
the Williams brothers, by the
way. For Uruguay, this is kind of a last chance saloon for this generation of a Cavani, for Luis Suarez. They're getting up older. They're getting older. And Godin. Can these guys who were the younger players in 2010 get one more chance at glory? And these are the type of games that are the difference makers and the decision makers for the group.
I mean, just picking up on what Mike was saying about the dual nationals, that's something we're really hearing a lot about in England as well at the moment. So not just the Williams brothers, but imagine them with a supply line, including Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's a player that they're going really hard for already. I mean, actually already in England international, but only a couple of caps a few years ago. Eddie Nketiah as well to come off the bench. It's very straight. It's a baffling. Like I have no judgment for any player or any nation that does this, but it is quite strange. It's almost like a pre-World Cup transfer window. But by all means, if they want to ask the question, they absolutely should. As for Uruguay, I think what's really interesting is I wonder, is Luis Suarez going to be the player you want to start come November, December of this year, with Darwin Nunez playing as well as he is, and there's so much young talent. I agree that this feels like the end of the road for this particular generation. Maybe unlike a Belgium, though, I feel like this Uruguay team playing with their heads held high a lot more. I don't think anyone has ever expected them to win the World Cup. I don't think there's ever quite been that talk around them, and they've been fantastic in every tournament. I think that they might straddle the gap a bit more effectively. Right now, we're looking at Rodrigo Bentancur as one of the better midfielders in the Premier League. Jose Maria Jimenez, outstanding centre-back if he'll be fit by that time. And of course, Nunez up top, he will be another one that's playing for a big team. I just hope, what I really hope is that if Uruguay are 2-0 up, let's get Luis Suarez on the pitch. Let's get him to kick the ball in his own net. He's got some making up to do. I think this is time to make up to Ghana.
Yeah, this is a Uruguayan side, by the way. The answer, Benj, is no. They're not relying on Luis Suarez anymore, or even Edinson Cavani. Brian Rodriguez, Alvarez from Peñarol. You mentioned Betancourt, Fede Valverde. You know what he can do, of course. Vecino. And by the way, it all comes up to the fact that now this is a brand new page for Uruguay, because Oscar El Maestro Tavares is no longer there. And now it's about Diego Alonso. And he really has developed a much stronger, resilient, and modern Uruguay, which is something we didn't notice. All right, quick predictions on this one then. Here we go, Michael Lahoud. Ghana, Uruguay. What do you have?
Man, and we talked about we're going to change our predictions.
We're going to change it a lot.
But until I see who goes in this Ghanaian national team camp, the current group, I see them losing 1-0 to this Uruguay team.
Nice and tight there. James Bench?
Yeah, I'm with Mike. I mean, Ghana start by winning some games before we can predict you winning some World Cup games. So, yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Uruguay.
Yep, I'm going to go with a 2-0 as well to Uruguay, but a lot can change, and so can our predictions, of course. All right, well, now that we've done our favorites, we're going to do the honorable mentions, and I'll just ask the guys to give me some notes on anywhere they want to go. Some of them include Well, the winner of Scotland, Wales, or Ukraine against England, Tuesday, November 29th, by the way, at Ahmed bin Ali Stadium, kickoff 2 p.m. Eastern. There's Iran against USA as well. I know Americans remember when Iran did the business on them, of course. Portugal against Uruguay. 2018 is still a memory there. Revenge mission for Cristiano Ronaldo and co. Of course, after the last 16 elimination, plenty of games. Of course, if my Peru get in there, of course, Peru against France is an opener in that group. And my God, am I nervous if that happens. So there's a lot. Some honorable mentions there. James Bench, which one do you want to pick out?
Actually, none of them.
Okay, I love it. Give me a new one.
We have a fantastic, really intriguing opening game of the tournament in Senegal against the Netherlands. Senegal that are becoming a force and a clutch team that deliver in penalty shootouts with the help of a few lasers against Egypt. And obviously, as we know, full of so many talented players, from Sadio Mane at the back, Edouard Mendy, up front, Edouard Mendy, Kalidou Koulibaly, the sort of players you'd want to build your defense on. I am really confident about this Senegal team. With the Netherlands, first of all, best wishes to Louis van Gaal. It sounds like his cancer treatment has been a success. So hopefully we'll see him on the bench in Qatar for what would be, I would suppose, his last World Cup. We know that Ronald Koeman's taking over after. They feel a long way from the finished article, and there will be pressure because they're a Dutch team at the World Cup. Expectations are always high. I think this is going to be one of those games. It's going to put me in mind of what was it? Was it 20 years before? God, it will have been 20 years. And when Senegal played France, and I really fancy them to do something, not just in this game, but in the World Cup as a whole. I think we're looking at first African quarterfinalists, maybe better.
Yeah. Michael?
I'm going to stick with Group A, and I love the other honorable mentions, and I got to give so much love to my African teams. I love the shout for Senegal, but I'm going to go up the ladder a bit. Senegal, Ecuador. This is going to be, you are going to see some of the most amazing athletes at this FIFA World Cup who can also ball. Estupiñán, he is my favorite left back in the world. This guy he's almost like a attacking midfielder playing at left back. Just what Unai Emery has been able to get out of him for Villarreal, and what he's been doing for the Ecuadorian national team is special. I would love to see Mane and him go toe-to-toe on that. Mane switched to the right-hand side, and then Estupiñán versus Mane. And typically for Senegal, Mane floats between left wing and center forward. But I think that battle, depending on what Netherlands do, but that battle could very well be the battle for second place in the group.
By the way, Cameroon, James Bench, if you remember, 1990, they reached the quarterfinals. So Senegal.
England, though.
Yep, that's right. I remember that game so vividly. And obviously,
I do not. I'm a lot younger than you, Luis.
Senegal could make it even further than that. They're that good. Mm-hmm. Well done, Michael Lahudo. Mentioning Ecuador, by the way, I've been talking about them forever. They're soccer's NBA's Memphis Grizzlies. They don't care about you. They're one of the youngest squads coming into this. Yes, they could mess up because they do that sometimes, and they're so eager that they sometimes forget about the tactical side of things. But when they're on, they are on. Estupiñán, Gonzalo Plata, Moises Caicedo, Alfaro has gotten all the best out of it. They're amazing. An amazing squad. It's going to be really intriguing to see how they do. Well, that's the first episode wrapped up of a World Cup series. Qué Golazo. Final thoughts, James Bench.
Oh, it's just fantastic. There's no bad groups this year. There's no bad teams.
Absolutely. That's it, really. Michael Lahoud?
Benj, I got to give shout out to your shirt one more time, but I cannot wait, not just for the next shirt that you bring on the show, but I cannot wait for Black Friday. You couldn't script this any better. This is going to be the changing of the guard, I believe, for U.S. soccer, and you're taking it back. There's so much history already between these two, and we're going to add the third installment of the battle between England. We already got the Revolutionary War. I think we tell ourselves we won the War of 1812, and now this match is going to be in the history books.
Yeah, England's going to win this. Don't worry about it. All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. This was our World Cup series. We have plenty more content to come, by the way, as we dissect each group as well. And as I mentioned, plenty more, including focusing on players, our favorite matchups and simulating the entire tournament. But that's Michael Lahoud at Mike Lahoud at James Bench. Make sure to follow their content all over social and CBS Sports, of course. Plenty more from us. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Qué Golazo World Cup 2022 will continue until the competition begins end of November. Till then, have a great rest of your day.